Welcome. Thanks so much for coming. This is our first attempt at a Pecha Kucha night, which is a bit of an experiment to everyone here. None of us have done this before, as far as... Have you? Okay, one has done it before. So a Pecha Kucha night, the basic idea is to have short form presentations so we can get a lot of information into one night. Each presenter was tasked with coming up with 20 images which describe their project. They'll be given 20 seconds to talk to each image. You'll probably find that some folk have managed to stick more rigidly to the format than others. Some of us might slightly game the system. But I think what really comes across in all the projects from the slides that I've seen is the passion and commitment and creativity, which combined just brings so much to a region. There's so much to be proud of here. So I'm going to move on to what's going to happen this evening. Helen, could you move us on? Overdone it? Here we go.
I'll do it.
Good. So we're going to start by a short presentation from myself on the CatStrand Arts programme. We're then going to move on to Carol from the CatStrand Singers, Margaret from Write On, Kat from the Young Creatives, Roger from the Watson Birds, Jim from Dalry Film Club, and Mike and Michael from the Glenkens story. So at the end of these, we'll stop for a question and answer session for all the speakers that have been so far. You'll have a chance to charge your drinks. We'll then come back and there'll be presentations from Together in the Glenkens, Propagate Kenwords, and the Glenkens and Community Arts Trust. We'll then have another short question and answer session specifically to those delivers. We're then going to move on to a thing called Mentimeter, which is just to give some feedback from tonight, but also to hopefully to help us with our 3-year Creative Scotland application, which is hugely vital. So I'm very, very grateful that you're all here to help with that. I hope you get the purpose. So what am I hoping that we'll all get out of tonight? Well, I'm hoping to learn more about each of the projects. I'm hoping to get a sense about what's driving them and the people behind them. And I'm hoping that there'll be some good chat in between times, perhaps even a chance to spark a little bit of collaboration here or there. And this is all in the context of a pretty heavy multi-year funding application for us. So without further ado, here we go. I'm going to go first. Wish me luck. Thank you. This time wasn't counted in our 20 seconds.
20, 19.
Right, ready, steady, go.
Hey! Oh, go. Okay. So go. So you can move on to the next one if you want. Hey. Okay. So welcome to the CatStrand. We're actually very, very lucky to have this. It was completed as you probably know, it was completed in 2007, following a £1 million investment. It converted this humble primary school into what's arguably one of the best small venues in D&G, if not Scotland. It's an excellent multi-use venue, capable of staging National Theatre of Scotland and Kiki D in the evening, followed by yoga in the morning. It's got its lovely intimate setting that to my mind makes it so special. And this is really to illustrate this. I saw Lau at Glasgow Royal Concert Halls, and there were specks in the distance. A couple of years later, here's Chris Drever. This was taken by an audience member in the front row who commented that if she coughed too loud, then she was in danger of destroying the whole sound system. And as you can see, it's a really different way to experience. So this is obviously all made possible by support from Creative Scotland. Each year we make an annual funding application. They can accept in full, part, or reject. So it's that level of uncertainty which we exist year on year. But they have been huge supporters of us since we opened. So this is really kind of how we're starting to think about the arts programme as a whole. We've got CatStrand trying to condense what we do into 5 words: a creative hub of a cultural landscape. That can refer to the place or how we fit into the Scottish or regional arts sector as a whole. That splits down into 3 categories. Our touring programme, which is about welcoming visiting artists and showcasing artists from across D&G. Cultural Glenkens, which is we've been calling our cultural community strand, which is about doing small levels of support to help locally driven projects see to fruition. And then the young creatives. So this is the arts department. This is the 3 of us. So there's myself, who do the majority of the fundraising for the main programme, Hayley, who is our part-time marketing officer, and Kat, who runs a very successful Young Creatives youth engagement programme. We're supported by the wider team of GCAT, in particular Helen, who gives us a lot of strategic support with funding applications, manages to deal with the board, which I'm very grateful with. Brian Edgar, the facilities manager, who keeps the building in shape. And this is the best picture we could find of Jill, who deals with so these things, as you can see, roughly 3/4 of our spending is on the artistic and creative sector. That pays for the events, goes straight into artists' pockets. That also pays for my salary. You can see here the dip that we took over COVID, but fortunately we're kind of back up to normal. So Cultural Glenkens, this is a fairly new term, but this is really a good part of our work is about supporting locally driven projects, and there's quite a range of them. There's see how far I get. 10 words, right on, what's the words, Glenkens, and more. So the next big part of our programme is theatre and dance. You can see Tom Pound, the Galloway Agreement, Sanchez Rig, Ansell Burris Theatre, and Help Me, I Think I'm a Nationalist are good examples. Music, obviously a big part, a mixture of local, national touring, folk, jazz, world, Matt Carmichael, Farah, Emily Smith, and Jamie McClellan. Next, another part which we've really started to concentrate on recently is having things which we think are going to involve young adults, and this has started to concentrate around the stand-up gig scenes. So here we've got, you can just about make it out, Samson's Sound, which was Bonkers Club Night, and Henge, which was equally bonkers night. Really lovely events for young children. But 4 goes Wild and Wellies, and I've completely blanked the names of the other 2, but I remember the events perfectly. They were really special. My daughter absolutely loved being at these, and they're creating quite special memories. Although most of our work is focused within these walls, we do try and make sure that it reaches out to the Glenkens as a whole. So here we've got the bookshop band at Carswell Village Hall, the party in the park, and the regular Clacking focus sessions are examples of these. One thing we'd like to do more, but time makes it difficult, is to have special events which really speak to where we are in our region. So here I've got some examples of things which I think worked well. There's Mark Zigadlo's water organ, the Covenanters Walk, and some other things. The feedback we get from both audiences and artists is really something quite special. And I think that relates to the proximity of the room, the sense of community that comes into this space. It manages to be a real sense that people know each other without being exclusive. So we're back to Creative Scotland. And this year we're applying to the multi-year fund. We've been told to do this as opposed to going year on year, which is going to be closed off to us. We know that fund is roughly double oversubscribed, so it's going to be very competitive. If we're not successful in this, I'm not quite sure how we take this whole thing forward. Alongside this, we're looking to the Heritage Fund. If we're successful in there, that might bring an additional person, budget, which will be really looking at the cultural communities strand, really trying to work on local arts development, support for projects like we're going to see today, looking at things which speaks to place. And lastly, I just want to say a big thanks to our volunteers. Whenever I talk about how this is a special place, it really is that sense that people are coming to a place which they value and are working to keep going. Yes. So if we're paused there, I think we are, then next up is Carol, who I think is going to be slightly less rushed, but still
much
6 minutes.
Much less rushed. And not so many slides, because unfortunately my accident prevented me from doing a lot of what I wanted to do. So we've just got a few background pictures. We're very proud of that particular one, which has now disappeared from the screen. Because of course it included our lovely Nicola, who sadly is no longer with us. And of course it was also pictures of the CD and book, of which we're very proud, and I'll mention that a bit later, and which is for sale in the gift shop. Anyway, my little 6 minutes or less about the CatStrand Singers. The CatStrand Singers have been part of the CatStrand's history almost from the beginning of its life. One or two of us had asked for a singing group to be established, and Nicola Black was engaged to lead the half dozen of us who initially signed up for it. The weekly sessions were called Sing It Out and emphasised the sheer joy of singing together regardless of age or ability. One of our aims was to tackle rural isolation and to support mental health and emotional well-being as part of a CatStrand programme of connecting in communities. Primarily aimed at people of the Glenkens, we soon found that our numbers were growing to include folk from Castle Douglas, Creetown, Dalmellington, and even further afield. Our outlook has always been one of inclusivity, and our group prides itself on being open to folk with disabilities, and even those who think of themselves as tone deaf will find their voice. Some of our members haven't sung since primary school, having been told by their teachers that they were completely useless. Nicola gradually increased the range of the songs and the parts and the number of parts that she had as singing, and began to refer to us as a choir. Initially, some folk found this daunting. A choir? But with gentle direction from Nicola, the group performed at a couple of small local venues and quickly realised that it gave a great sense of achievement. After a few years, we were being asked to perform at concerts throughout the Glenkens, and our numbers had grown to around the 20 mark. We were singing in 4-part harmonies and several languages. Nicola realised we'd come such a long way that we could record a CD of music written and arranged by her, and for which we were lucky enough to receive a grant from the Galloway Glens Landscape Partnership. What was intended to be a year-long project became 3 years due to the lockdowns and the necessity of meeting only on Zoom. The final production of both the CD and its accompanying beautiful songbook was a triumph both for the choir and particularly for Nicola and Blackie. Our launch concert was a sellout. The CD and book, Singing the Galloway Glens, is a remarkable legacy left to us from a well-loved musician and friend who soon after its completion sadly died suddenly and unexpectedly. The choir were left devastated, but determined to carry on Nicola's work and inspiration. We spent some months adjusting to her absence and continued meeting as a singing group with a team, Kate Howard, Rose Ardron, Liz Lewis and myself, working to deliver a varied programme. Along the way, we have sadly lost valued members. Recently, we were honoured to sing at the funeral of a long-serving member. Some of us have been to sing Christmas carols for the residents at Sennick House, one of whom had been our most enthusiastic member right from the start. We're continuing as a vibrant, enjoyable group who managed to combine a love of singing with a love of coffee and cake. The biscuit rota is one of our most important things. And we're always open to new members. And you don't even have to read music.
Thank you, Carol. And next we have Margaret Elphinstone from Reid.
Well, here we are, a group who's met faithfully for 15 years. Why do we do it? Well, we write, obviously, and we believe that everyone's writing matters. But why a group? What are we to one another? We asked our members, what have we given one another over the years? Why do we value this group so much? Here are our answers. The more people said the same word, the bigger it appears on the chart. A person writing is silent, absorbed in their own world. But what's going on inside their minds? Let's have a look inside the minds of some of the write-on members. What do they write about? What do they have to say to us? Leonie, look and see, listen and hear, touch and feel, tongue and taste, sniff and smell, then pair and prune. Less is more. Craig, writing offers infinite choices. Mine seeks to cast light from an intriguing angle, or make someone smile, or offer encouragement in any combination. Always upbeat. Everything else is intuition. Francis, fabric slithers over every surface. Maroon, vermilion vie with cobalt, citrine, viridian, ochre. Swirls, paisleys and geometric designs compete with cascades of flowers, fish, birds, shells, fruit. Andy, a show is born out of a chaos of ideas. Audience and puppeteer collude to bring characters to life. Even when the puppeteer is in full view, the puppet takes on a life of its own, as if it has its own soul. Jenny, the dragon in me stalks the dark side of life and writes stories and poems of disaster and strife. But when it is sleeping, I reach for the light that it'll inspire my writing to shine and delight. Carol, she hated me, I hated her. She made my life a misery. I cowered in terror at her glance. I sat all day and watched her die, my awful grandmother, and breathed a sigh of relief. Beverly, Bermuda, a silent feather whoosh. From where did it come so fast? Cape Canaveral. Janet, A haiku written when lighting the wood burner, a daily job. Flames flicker through carefully crisscrossed kindling. Warmth enfolds the home. Larry. We cleared a century of jackdaw's twigs from the belfry above the town hall clock, carrying experiences on builders' ladders, swirling yet through twirls of time. Mike. Brave sentinel trees guard our skyline against Sitka, turbines and suburban tarmac. Ash. Alone, our eastern guardian, shedding limbs, scorning death, each year's buds defy and open. Felicity. Soft whisper of wings in shifting formations, sand drifting, skies opening, space newly defined, soothing my restless soul. Anne. I'm there in my mind's eye, that joy-filled day, my sister at my side. So many years have passed and now it's winter time. We plant a splash of colour by a tree, red cyclamen, share scattering of ashes. Margaret. Papa Store. One face of it scoured rock beaten by weather, the other rich pasture, and grass so thick with flowers that the smell of them would guide men home from sea when the island was lost in summer mist. June. A lover's gift from a hot pocket, just one for 50 years of loving, a colour for each 10 years. Now one small stone, a tapestry of memories. Rose. Immersed, the world retreats. Water surrounds and laps at my ears, cool on my lifted arm, my turned breathing cheek. The internal sound of my breath draws in and out. Some things never change. Writing pushes boundaries. We've published 2 books. Write Down was our record of our lives in Galloway during lockdown. 22 different testimonies. We made a bit of history there. And this is what our writing is for. It endures. It tells future generations how we experience the world, what mattered, what it was once like to be us. We have written our own visions, perhaps a little wisdom to pass on.
Thank you so much, Margaret. That was quite special. Right, next up, Kat.
Oh, sorry, the thing's gone off. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, so the Young Creators Programme is currently funded by Hollywood Trust and Creative Scotland. The programme is funded for core delivery over the next 2 years up to March 2025. The programme operates under 3 areas of delivery: Creative Sparks, which is for 5 to 11-year-olds, Creative Skills 12 to 16, and Creative Careers 16 to 25. And then, as part of, to ensure the Young Creators is a youth-led programme, we have regular groups, a regular group called the Art Ambassadors, which is 12 to 21-year-olds who feed into the programme, and they plan their own projects and do lots of fun things like the community project, which they planned and organised, Santa's Grotto. one of the, oh, it's too quick, too much to say. Drama Rama is our weekly drama club that aim to promote imagination speaking skills in a fun way, such as drama games and exercises, and it aims to promote confidence, teaching and skills, to introduce them into drama, and then eventually they move into youth players at age 10. Art club, we have 2 art clubs, Art Explorers, which is part of the Creative Sparks. They attend with or without their parents and take part in a range of creative activities such as sculpture, painting, mixed media, and the Art Club, which is for 11 years plus, which is the older ones, and they do more things like that. And then the youth players are award-winning drama group, and headed up by Brian Edgar, who's been leading the group, as you all know, for several years. The youth players take part in the Scottish Community Drama Festival every year, and then they do an amazing sell-out pantomime. So as part of the youth players, the behind the scenes has been recently introduced to support the children and young people who want to get involved in theatre but don't necessarily want to perform. So we started behind the skills where they have where the young people can get involved in set design and part of the technical part of theatre as well. Dance Steps is one of the skills, creative skills, where it's a monthly workshop where we have a professional dance tutor come in, and they do each month they do a different dance dance form, like ballet or tap, hip hop. They did hip hop last week, so that's fun. Next one, 4-week summer program is also part of the program. We do 4 weeks, a range of different activities. We do trips to Edinburgh to see the Fringe, puppet making, drama, photography workshops, things for the little ones, eco art workshops. It's just a really busy program. As well as the in-house stuff we do in the CatStrand and the Smiddy, we also work with the schools. Most recently, we worked with Dalry High School, part of their Wednesday afternoon activity, where Joe delivered a 6-week block of drama sessions, and then the young people came in and performed here. Oh my gosh, there's so much to go. We're currently 6 months into our Young Music Makers, which was launched in March 2023. So the Music Makers project includes violin lessons, ukulele lessons, guitar lessons, piano and keyboards, which are weekly. They take place each Saturday or a Wednesday. They're also small. Oh, I haven't got time for that. There's also taster music sessions, which is aimed to introduce children into playing an instrument, so they have to commit to a weekly class, but they can come try out different instruments, learn things like beat and rhythm and things like that, and then if they want to take up the instrument, then they have the option to do weekly or join the waiting list. Musical Misfits is also part of the Young Music Makers programme, and it's a musical theatre singing group which is very popular. They learn several musical numbers and taught harmonies and just having fun, and then they performed at the Young Music Showcase. The Paragon, we've partnered up with the Paragon to deliver monthly music workshops for children and young adults with additional needs. These are delivered by experienced practitioners in a safe and supportive environment. We've also been working with Paragon to provide training for young people and the intern that we work with, as well as the staff at the CatStrand. So that's offered as part of the Creative Careers Strand. Family Music Makers is one for the little ones, and is intended to provide a fun introduction into music and the Young Creative Programme. The family sessions delivered once a month by Kate Picken. Stranded Cat Project is our independent record label project. We're working with young musicians aged 16 plus through the region, and helping them through the journey of starting out in the music industry, equipping them with skills, experience needed to establish themselves. And they record a track, and it's amazing. That should come out. Young Critics program's open, so young adults who are interested in watching theatre, dance and music performances and critically analysing, discussing and reviewing work. So we have young people who are interested in dance, theatre or music. They come along to the arts programme, and provide a critique on the blog. And then also part of the Creative Careers, we have the Upskills programme where we use young people to share their skills. And this is an example of one of them, of Ella, who came and taught all the little ones singing and dancing. And then they did a little performance. It was very sweet, and she got a Saltire Award as part of it. And there's also, we do creative development for the young people as part of, we offer mentoring and internships. This was one of the mentoring examples of Thomas Pett, who had a script, and we worked with him to mentor him and develop his script writing. And he had 2 development days, where professional actors and playwrights came and helped him develop his work. Okay, I think we
Just so you know, Kat delivers something like 300 sessions a year. I mean, that's her on a slightly slow speed. So, next up, Roger Crofts.
It's very important that we recognise people who've lived in the community. Donald Watson lived in Dalry for 55 years. One of the greatest bird artists of his time, a bird writer and a campaigner. So we wanted to link birds, nature and the arts right across the generations. It's not just a legacy project, it's looking forward. How many people can we involve? Not just sitting outside as he did. He loved painting en plein air, and some of the results are absolutely magical. This is the painting that's in Dalry Town Hall. If you haven't seen it, you go and look at it. And that's his key bird there, the hen harrier. We also have a little permanent exhibition at the end of the corridor here. We mounted a new one today. Go and have a look at that later on. He also was a prolific writer. He wrote these 6 books. They're all in the cabinet. You can easily buy them online, and they're beautifully illustrated with his poems. He also illustrated lots of books for other people. In fact, all of the great books of the time. And to give an appreciation, nobody's actually written a biography of him, so a group of us have got together. One of his daughters, his daughter-in-law, Chris Raleigh, who knew him very well, a couple of ornithological specialists, and myself. And we've got a book at the publisher. It will be beautifully illustrated, I hope. But it's getting outside into nature as well, because that's what he did. So we've set up a series of trails funded by Galloway Glens and the Black Crake Wind Farm. The starter point is in the garden at Dalry Town Hall, where you see that notice. There are signposts around the place. There is the art trail, which you can cycle, you can run if you like, or take a car. 9 points around the Glenkens, and there's also a walking trail from Dalry itself over the Mullock and back. The art trail particularly has a representation, as you see here on the picture, of a Donald painting. And the question is, well, how do you see the landscape now? Because we all talk about wind turbines, we talk about Sitka spruce, the change from upland agriculture and the loss of birds. And we have a commentary by Chris Raleigh, and it's all in a QR code that you can get hold of. But it's also important to celebrate the science that not only Donald did, because his book on the hen harrier is still the world-leading book, but his son Jeff wrote the world-leading book on the golden eagle. So for 7 years, we've had a Raptor Science Prize chosen by experts, 3 experts. This is James Smart, the first winner, and they have to give a public talk, in plain English to everybody. And we're going to revive that with a new group of experts, a Spanish guy, somebody in South Africa and elsewhere. And we also want to stimulate debate, sometimes outside, with bird experts and landowners where they don't necessarily agree. The grouse raptor debate, for instance, or here or in Dalry. There's a fantastic archive that Donald left, and last winter I spent many hours going through it and weeding out the really good stuff. This is an example of his diaries when he was a teenager, All of this is now in a properly curated archive in Aberlady, the Scottish Ornithological Club, where the gallery there is named after Donald. But inspiring sounds and sights are very important. So we've looked at the interaction with birdsong with the help of Peter Cowdery, the founder of Planet Birds, taking people out and getting them to record the noises as they see them and then play them back to them. And it's very hilarious. And having concerts like Peter and Liz, his sister, playing birdsong that they helped to create themselves, using all of these fancy recording techniques. And of course, we've had a link with Ken Words, and I'm sure Jane will talk about this later on, with Chris Rolly leading walks through the seasons in the Glenkens. I went on one, and bloody appalling weather in December, and we were forced to write, I was forced to write the first poem I'd ever written in my life. But it was actually a great new experience. You know, it's a challenge to be able to do those things. And it's been really good, and a fabulous exhibition at Gracefield last year. And those writing skills, translating it is superb. But the essence really is, well, how can we engage with young people? One time we managed to get a group of primary school children from Dalry Road School in quite a deprived part of Edinburgh to come to Dalry. And it was fascinating, the interaction between urban kids and rural kids. They were on a different planet. And to use peripatetic art teachers like Susan Belinsky to do wonderfully creative paintings by the kids. And there's a lot more opportunity to develop that, I hope, in the future. And of course, we mustn't forget the professional artists. We've got a lot in this area, and we've had lots of exhibitions. This is Darren Woodhead, who lives in Haddington, the foremost wildlife artist in Britain at the moment, coming and giving demonstrations on how to do it. And here's our little section along the corridor here at the CatStrand, celebrating Donald with his Tory and his tweed jacket and his painting table. So what I hope is, I've been doing this for 15 years. I was 80 last week. So I'm looking for people to inherit this and carry it on, develop it, evolve it. And there's loads of things we can do: create exhibitions, organize talks, sell the merchandise that we have available, guide walks, stimulate creative writing. There's lots of crossovers, I think, with what others have been doing. Your wonderful work on the writing, for instance. Thank you.
I think we can't let this moment go by without giving Roger a huge thank you for the work he's done in Watson's Bird. He's really been the driving force of it for so many years. So, without further ado, Jim from Dalry Film Club.
Okay, well, what's a film club? Well, is it a book club? Is it a group of, we've gone back, of earnest people like yourself who sit about the spectacles and discuss the ins and outs of a book? Well, it's not quite like that, certainly not in Dalry. Dalry Film Club is not quite the same as, a book club. Yeah, nor is it over on the left here. One of those simple cudgel devices. Although occasionally, on the right there, we do get excited in the film club. We don't quite have hands waving about, but we're simply a group of people who enjoy films and who want to make it a social occasion. Now, entrance is free with a note from your parents. If you haven't got a note like that, then your pocket money is just as good. So the only point I'm making there is that every showing of a film costs money, costs a license fee, and it is difficult to do for nothing. So we're based in Dalry Town Hall, and sometimes, although it's a bit summery in the picture there, then it's sometimes even warmer inside. We have the seating arranged so that we have our backs to the radiators and the overhead heaters above, so that it's quite cosy. We founded it in 2016 with a grant from the BFI, the British Film Institute, to test whether we had a local market. And that was organised through one of our good friends at Driftwood Community Cinema, which is down in Bladnoch. So they arranged that, and here we are. After an early start, we've now, after eight years, we've got a full surround sound system, and we've got a screen about the same size, maybe slightly smaller than the CatStrands. But as it notes in there, we look across the town hall towards the screen. Now, COVID obviously affected us, and this is how we would have been seated had we had 2 meters apart. In fact, we were empty for a little bit of time, although we spent the time putting up, squeezy bottles and stuff. So each evening, because we think it's very much a social event, we kick off with tea and home baking to create a social vibe with tables between the chairs in order that we can all enjoy that and chat to our immediate neighbours, whether they're the neighbours at home or not. So it's a social occasion. In order to attract people out and actually get those fivers to support us, we must entertain. So there is some of the source of entertainment. We don't have a particular remit to do international films or anything like that. We program, or I do, really based on what I think will attract people on a social basis, whether it's a musical, whether it's romantic, action, drama, classical, historical. Most people will only want to come and see 1 or 2 of those. Someone who's looking for comedy may not be so keen on drama. So that's this year's programme. Kicked off last night with Whitney Houston. One for the boys next couple of weeks' time, which is Mission Impossible. And down at the bottom, Oppenheimer, a lovely film, A Quiet Passion, Terence Davis film. But we need support, and we get that from the CatStrand, who support us principally with license support, but also with publicity. Similarly, Driftwood Cinema, they also help us out with support. So getting to the audience, this seems to go quickly. We have our banner, which blew all over the place yesterday. We have the CatStrand programme, our flyers, posters, Facebook, Glenkens Hub, and I do quite a lot of Facebook. How to enlarge our audience. What we're looking now at film theatre performance. During the last year, we presented Romeo and Juliet and As You Like It from the Globe Theatre, which was a wonderful experience because you're on the stage, you're not sitting in the audience. So where else can we move? Well, there's quite a number of film performances of ballet available. So we are actively thinking about that. The other aspect, and I'll come up in a moment, if I pause for breath, is opera. There are quite a number of film performances of opera. Again, you have the presence right with the performers. Is there an audience in the Glenkens for opera and for ballet as a film medium? Certainly the Fullerton manages quite well to do that.
They're only doing right for Opera House to stop doing the Met.
Yes. So we can hire out our AV system for parties, club nights and birthdays for somebody who wants to use it. We have a special license for that, which allows us to cut the cost so you don't have to pay the full license fee of having a film, which is normally about £105. But we can cut that out more or less entirely, so that you'd be very welcome.
So, like to welcome Mike and Michael from the Glenkens story.
In 2015, local people, some of them professional historians, mostly keen amateurs, set up a history group for the Glenkens. Motto, sharing our history. Aim to promote local history and tap into expert knowledge from near and far. GCAT enthusiastically agreed to back us and have continued to do so. The drop-in launch in Dalry attracted over 100 local people to an afternoon and evening of short talks and displays. Subjects ranged from farming to memorials, from Covenanters to maps. The enthusiastic response encouraged us to stage our first event. The talk by authors of a book on the little-known subject of lowland appearances sold out. Ticketless fans were actually turned away. Discovering this key work was out of print, Alistair Livingston and Lucy Brown launched a campaign for a second edition. Their success brought us national headlines. A great start. Our first field trip to the lead mines above Carstfern was led by Anna Campbell of the Carstfern Heritage Centre, a great supporter of the Glenkens story. And what a fine location for our first venture into industrial history. County archaeologist Andrew Nicholson, that's him front left, led us on the old route over Bardennoch Hill through sites from prehistoric to medieval times, including carved stone crosses guiding pilgrims to Whithorn. On the way, we discussed with local foresters the sensitive issue of new woodland near ancient sites. War memorials are a rich source of social and family history, and they show the impact of world affairs on local communities. Paul Goodwin's field trips included Kells Kirkyard, top right, and its rare wooden cross relocated from a First World War battlefield to home soil. Civil war afflicted the Glenkens when Covenanters fought for religious freedom against the Stuart kings. David Bartholomew led trips to sites of persecution and worship. On the left, a reputed hiding place in the Black Water. On the right, Holy Lynn, where secret conventicles were held. David took us to a possible hidden worship place in Earlston Woods on Gordon Land. The estate and the family were at the centre of much Covenanting activity and subjected to government brutality. The Earlston Oak, now a fragment, was a reputed hideout. In 1666, a Covenanting army marched on Edinburgh and was slaughtered by government troops in the Pentlands. It is wrongly known as the Pentlands Rising. It actually started where you start a good rising, Dalry. We marked the 350th anniversary in 2016. David Bartholomew and Ted Cowan described the uprising and its worldwide impact.
This sylvan scene is the site of the lost farmstead of Gairloch in the valley of the Blackwater Dee. We visited several such lost farms, mostly abandoned by the mid-19th century. This glen is now entirely uninhabited. Local field and place names are crucial to our understanding of the Glenkens. Talks on the subject have illustrated the variety of languages spoken in the area. Whilst most of the field names in this image around Dalry are in Scots, the majority of local place names are actually of Gaelic origin. Fiúin Tulach, Achach agus Ari, and Lag Uanye, Dal Tulachan, Ceann na Hirava. Marchin ha Gaelic hast bio Fug na Skira, agus Hukin Shin don Duochas Halach Jishin, and an Colarst Davilas Og Gia. And here are the speakers at said conference. Galloway, the lost province of Gaelic Scotland. Top-notch academics all. Typical of the presenters the Glenkens story has been able to attract. This conference led to the publication of a book you can see in the middle to academic acclaim. The Gid Broad Scots was gae a hearing his wheel. Here we are, haeing a wee blether at the hen end of the Galloway Scots Conference in 219. That's Cubby McCubbin hodding forth on the Gan Buddies, with Robin Jerden hanging by and Ted Cowan looking just a wee bit dumbfounded about the hale fankle. Rounding off the Glenkens story, we had one that even spanned 10,000 years of Galloway history, from the Mesolithic to 1000 AD. Richard Tipping's paper, Changing Climate, Environment and People in Galloway, has just been published in the Dumfries and Galloway Natural History and Antiquarian Society proceedings.
A recent highlight was the 200th anniversary of John Rennie's magnificent bridge across the Ken. We contributed an afternoon of talks on the history of the crossing and the bridge itself, and collaborated with Wendy Stewart and the Galloway Agreement in creating a musical retelling of the story. We've had a major historical discovery unfolding on our doorstep. David Bartholomew was present at the discovery of the Galloway hoard at Balmagee, a find of international significance, and through his contacts we have had regular updates on the contents and the preservation of this trove of treasure. Our talks have been wide-ranging. Tales from Kenmure Castle, the Galloway nag, humble progenitor of horse breeding worldwide, Lizanne Henderson on the dangerous medieval folklore of witches, and the Galloway cotton kings who shaped the Manchester textile trade, to name just but 4. And we are continuing in 2024, an afternoon with live music and musical history, tales of the rails that only just reached Galloway, and what happened when the glaciers left the area.
Okay, we all ready? Ready for another round? Good to go? Great. Okay, well, Abi from Propagate.
Here we go. You might be wondering, what has Propagate got to do with culture? So I think we're something to do with food culture. That's probably where we're coming from. And rather than giving a rundown as to what Propagate does, I want to talk to you about food sovereignty, which is a concept that underpins everything that Propagate does, and that's it on the board there. And it was developed in the Nyaleni Declaration in 2007 in Mali at a conference of thousands of peasant farmers and La Via Campesina, which is people who are kind of working the land from all over the world. What should I change now? There we go. So, and when we think about food sovereignty, we're thinking about the food system. So the food system isn't just the production, the processing, the packaging, the distribution, and the waste of food. It's also these other kind of realms: politics and health, environment, society, and economy. And the food system is really how all these different spheres interact on that. Food sovereignty is also underpinned by a rights-based approach. So it's really about the right of all peoples to define their food systems and to have access to affordable, good, healthy food. And when we think about that, we're thinking about that in sort of solidarity with Global South farmers as well, in the context of Sustainable Development Goals. So the six principles of food sovereignty. The first is food for people. And this is really about kind of us, really, that food is really for us and sharing it between communities. And it's not for the profits of supermarkets and big multinational corporations, like these guys. So these are currently the people that control our food system. And actually you can whittle it down to 3 big, massive multinational corporations that actually have most of a hold on pretty much everything that we are offered to eat in supermarkets and generally in the food system. The second food sovereignty principle is valuing food providers. So food providers in this context are people who are producing our food, our farmers, our smallholders. And again, we're thinking about that, not just our farmers down here in Dumfries and Galloway, but small farmers in the global south, what we call the global majority. But also people like these guys in Auchinleck and Suey Fields who keep pastured poultry in a kind of sort of rotational grazing system, and they also have cattle and pigs, and they sell sell their products on the Glenkens Food Hub. So supporting farmers like this is part of valuing food providers. Thank you. The third principle of food sovereignty is localised food systems. So we do a lot of localised food systems. Unfortunately, I didn't have a really good Glenkens picture. This is actually Mongai. Might be some of the people in the image. So, and this is kind of thinking about that kind of sort of coming together and celebrating food as communities and as collectives. But it's also, of course, about that was the wrong picture. Thank you. It's also, of course, about local food systems like the Galloway Food Hub, formerly known as the Glenkens Food Hub, which of course starts its life right here, and hopefully some of you are going to be getting your box of lovely foods tomorrow, either to your house or collecting it from Dalry. And of course we have about 25 producers on the Galloway Food Hub these days, with an average of 87 orders per week. The fourth principle is about putting control locally. So this is, again, about us. It's all about we, the people, making those decisions, being part of making decisions about how our food is produced. And this is an image taken at the Lockerbie local food gathering just in November with a group of people. There's actually about 30 people in the room, and we're basically deciding what we need to do about our food system in Dumfries and Galloway. Control locally is also about things like seed saving and seed sharing and seed swapping. It really starts with seeds because that's the root of all food. So yeah, it's kind of putting the control of those seeds and seed sovereignty, which is part of food sovereignty, back in the hands of the people. The fifth principle is building knowledge and skills. So we do this through Propagate in loads of ways, massive part of what we do through educational food and farming education and learning activities. This is one of my favourite activities, which is getting out on farm and digging holes and putting my hands in the soil with other farmers. But also on a community level, activities like this, which was part of the Glenkens Food Month last year, I think it was just last year, this one, maybe it was the year before actually, which was a seed saving workshop at Hidden Veg Market Garden that I run. And again, that's kind of skilling people up to be able to have control of their own food systems. The sixth principle is working with nature. So this is producing food in a way that is what we call agroecological, where we kind of... Was there another slide there, actually? Sorry, one before it. Oh, I think I've lost myself. Anyway, never mind. In my notes it says soil health, but never mind. But yeah, also, working with nature, making sure that we're maximising space for biodiversity, such as bees, butterflies, soil microorganisms, and everything else. So this is Lauriston Hall, in fact, where they've got about 1.5 acres of vegetables, which obviously goes to sort of feed the community at Lauriston Hall, but they also provide surplus out with the community as well. And one of my very favourite images is this lovely, beautiful Phacelia. Phacelia is a green manure plant. It's my favourite self-seeding annual. I absolutely adore it. It fixes nutrients, stabilises nutrients in the soil, but actually bees really, really, really love it as well. So it's one of the best plants we have for working with nature. Okay, so how are we going to do all those things? 3 things, I think. First of all, we need culture and mindset shift. So currently we're very much left brain orientated. We need to become more right brain. So right brain is all about working with being in nature, creativity, all the kind of things that we've heard tonight really is right brain kind of activity. We also need a citizen and producer-led food movement. So this was outside the Scottish Parliament a couple of years ago, where small farmers from across Scotland came together to demand better action for small farmers in the agriculture bill. We've got another outside Parliament action coming up on the 21st of February. If you could get there, please do. And finally, we need a well-being economy, aka dismantle capitalism, where we all look after each other and build these alternatives and these different systems that we want to see. And if we do all of those things and hold fast the principles of food sovereignty and understand that it is a rights-based approach, then we might just end up with something like this, which is our agroecological jigsaw, painted by the lovely Emily Tuck, based in Dumfries. And this is the vision of farmers in 2021 for Dumfries and Galloway, for an agroecological, food sovereignty-focused farming and land-based future. Yeah.
we've got our very own Joe with About Together in Glenkens.
Okay, so welcome to Together in Glenkens. It launched in May, June in 2023. We started off thinking about our visions and values. What we wanted to do is deliver a targeted, super range of activities that would support health and mental health and well-being in the Glenkens, throughout the whole community of the Glenkens. And we put those vision and values together to hopefully deliver that. First of all, I'd like to thank our funders who, without their help, this GCAP project would not be up and running. So our main funders was the third sector, but we got match funding from wider people like the Co-op and the NHS endowment fund, but also local people too. When we're putting together the programme, I was trying to think of words that I wanted to hope that the programme would deliver to help support mental health and well-being. So creative, social, motivating, fun, enriching. And these words were sort of tried to find people would help put together an activity that would deliver this. And this is one of my favourite photos. I got permission from the lady. It just sums up how wonderful and how lovely it is that people can engage in these activities and what it's all about. It's about bringing smiles to their faces. It's about making them have a good time, develop new skills, be creative. And this was taken for painting with oils, which Kat, our wonderful Kat, is delivering. They're producing some absolutely super work. We're hoping to put an exhibition together at the end of the project, which is in end of May, and I think you'll agree, for beginners, it's pretty marvellous. And there's some testimonies there about what a difference that's making to people's lives, which is all what it's about. And some fabulous, fabulous images. Our other art-based activities, Crafting Connections, which was Art for Wellbeing, was running in Corsic. We're trying to get across as much of the Glenkens as possible. We were struggling to get numbers, so we're relocating to Kirkpatrick Durham, and we've thankfully got funding from the Corsic Kirkpatrick Durham Community Fund to help us keep this going. And again, they're developing lots of super artistic skills. It's led by Carly. She's bringing a wealth of materials to the activity and helping people develop their creativity and their skills. And again, there's a lovely testimony there about what a difference it's making to fit in back into the community after being away. I've also thought about exercise, about health and well-being. So we've got a Tai Chi class that did operate in the park out there, weather permitting. We started in July, and it's on a Monday evening now, and we're very fortunate to be able to be working with the town hall and delivering the class there. It's led by Steve, and just people are so enjoying practicing this. I think moving indoors perhaps is a little bit better. I think people are feeling a bit exposed out on the park. We're hoping again, if you know anybody who would like to do Tai Chi, it's a wonderful activity, and I know it's bringing a lot of pleasure. Our next super activity is Strictly Get Dancing. There they all are, marvellous people. We meet on a Monday, led by the wonderful Sam Rushton, learning some fabulous steps, both Latin and ballroom. We rotate between Moscow, Parton and Kirkpatrick Durham, but Glenkens Activity Centre have given us a super location in the immediate future. And here they are in action, learning their steps. And again, I put some testimonies there about what a difference it's making, and dancing as well as creativity is just so wonderful for the soul and so uplifting. So that's our dance activity, our patchwork activity. It's a lovely group of ladies who meet weekly in Cross Michael Church, and they're taking scraps of fabric and learning how to do Japanese folded patchwork. And it's just such a lovely group, and it's more about the pleasure. I think with the ladies, they just love coming together, and they didn't know each other before. So they're really coming together and making some absolutely fabulous textiles out of, as I said, just scraps of fabric. And I put some more thoughts from the class about how they're managing, and you don't know what people are going through and what the support these activities are giving them. So it's just lovely when they come and tell us that. We've been lucky to get match funding for free transport to run a gym and swim package. So that's providing free transport to Kuchbury. We had our first one this week, and I actually braved and got in the pool as well. And it was very, very enthusiastic exercise class. It was great. And we also run a pub quiz on a monthly basis, and that's very popular, which is lovely just to see everybody coming together and having fun, socialising and getting their grey matter engaged. And there's some people here in the audience who come along to the pubs for the quizzes. We also collaborated with Ling, which was super, back on St Andrew's Day. We did a ceilidh, and that was, I think I'm right, it was the first sort of big dance to happen in the new town hall. We had Muckle Spree, who were brilliant on the night, and we had super generous raffle prizes donated, which was just so wonderful and kind of testified what we were trying to do, which was provide a wonderful evening for everybody. And as you can see there, they all are skipping the night fantastic. And we did food as well, haggis, neats and tatties, and there was sticky toffee pudding for dessert as well. And watch this space, we hope to put on another ceilidh before the project ends in May, but more of that later. Our other projects, because of the match funding for transport, we were able to come together with Dalry Community Transport, and so we're offering subsidised trips to the Dalry Produce Market, that wonderful monthly market, and also the Golden Day Club. We're also coming together with the Friday bar nights here at the CatStrand and trying to find things of interest. We've got a possible, hopeful collaboration with somebody who does a jazz night, and so we're trying to put projects together. This is our spring programmes. We've got about 9 activities running, which have been in place since, a lot of them have been in place since the beginning in July, and yes, I'm just really thankful to all the deliverers and to the people who come along to the activities. And going forward, we've got that programme in place. The project will run till the end of May, this May, which will be lovely. And we're happy in the knowledge that we are making a difference. Unfortunately, we have to measure it by quantity, and I want to measure it by quality and just recognise even just a few people how their lives have been improved and what they're getting out of it, and that's what matters. So that's what we do.
Thank you very much, Joe. And for next presenter is Jane from Kenworth.
So, from my experience of Kenworth, I have made for you a picture poem story. On glassed, in the clear air, the tilt of a red kite's wing. Extract from Layer by Layer. 11 silver arm rings and 11 silver ingots, a silver cross, natural gravel, 3 parcels Asian silk wrapped, and in the Carolingian pot more silk wrapped bundles, a tiny rock crystal jar, as yet unopened. Wished the river would speak with our silence. A view through a locket shape in the heart of the wood. Between my fingers, a half-remembered rhyme of summer grass. Misplacing Polmaddy. What's unmade, lost to the long grass, missed in passing. What the swallows return to find all the same, this place, inscribed whole in the hollow of their bones. Hill. A short out-breath carries the word caught by the tip of my tongue behind front teeth, and leaving the flight song of a pipit suspended in open air. Beyond his cuckoo, a meadow pipit's nest on the open hill. A back-end sun, beech leaves making way for distance. I wasn't looking for signs on the road, but I bent to pick up the strange find of woven rushes, as if it was a penny, shiny good luck that never ends if only I could read the bleached fork of a branch like a rune pointing 3 ways in the palm of my hand. Winter birch, how the finch flock knew of the cold to come. The spring when, a skip that skips unbidden. As if the old stones were singing unexpectedly of something other than sinking. The 24 or more skylarks I didn't see until they made themselves known. What remains? The gable end stones warm to my touch. This winter, last winter's same 2 crows more familiar. Who knows these dark days, how we are, my dear? Pruning the old rose on its rickety arch, I talk to it the while. A need this spring to believe. In the smell of day's end embers, let the small of my bag fit a bony armed chair at the hearth. Let me tuck my feet under me like a roosting hen. A taste of arrival, the thought to dwell. 7 years, 95 writers' cafes, 14 word ceilidhs, 14 poetry walks, 7 exhibitions, plus talks and readings and in-conversation events, and workshops and artcasts, gazette pages, and an anthology of writings, if you wish to speak to the waters in the river. Narinian. That I will not be alone here. On each point I place a light, a small lantern, withstanding the storm and shining no larger than wolf eyes when the darkness comes.
That was a real treat. So Helen is just making her way down the stairs. So this is for our final presentation, and then we will have a chance for questions from everyone, and then we'll see if we can make this Mentimeter thing work. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much. I feel like I've got a very hard act to follow with all of that. I'm worried this will be significantly more boring than all those fantastic creative insights, especially that write-on in Kenwords, really amazing. But I've got my 20 slides. Pete's banned me from using bullet points. Here we go, a quick overview of GCAT. Last year we refreshed our strategic direction. So our mission is nothing dramatic, but we've clarified that our mission is that we are a key anchor organisation for the area with a vision of making the Glenkens an excellent place to live for people of all ages. And I'm sure these people agree. We do it by interweaving arts, community and heritage to enrich the life of the area, and by delivering our artistic vision with passion and creativity, which we've seen so much here. That's Battery Park at the end of last year. We also do it by supporting many activities core to the quality of life of the people and the environment of the Glenkens. It's a lot of words, but we do a lot of stuff and we mustn't lose that. We want to do more, but we mustn't lose what we do. And obviously what Anne does. And lastly, we want to drive economic and social regeneration of the area. And we want to do that through championing the delivery of the Glenkens and District Community Action Plan. So, you know, some of it is a bit serious, but it's important because it's part of what makes the Glenkens the Glenkens. So these are Glenkens daisies, you'll have to take my word for it. We've got some aims, which are the ways that we want to achieve our mission of making the Glenkens an excellent place to live. So we want to deliver a high-quality arts programme that delivers our artistic vision. We want to champion delivery of the Community Action Plan, and we want to be a well-run, well-governed organisation that is accessible to all and taking positive steps on our journey to net zero. So our artistic vision, I mean, it's got, you know, obviously that's what this evening's been all about. As Pete said, it's got the 3 strands. We've got our touring programme of the highest quality. It attracts artists of national and international calibre, but also local artists and up-and-coming artists, because that's so important as well. But also the National Theatre of Scotland, if we mention that. So cultural communities, the 3rd strand of the artistic vision, is obviously, I think for me, it's one of my favourite pictures, Jane, of Ken Word's, one of our Stalwart Cultural Communities projects. Creative placemaking programme, that's the jargon, but what for me it celebrates and it amplifies the knowledge and passion that you guys have got for our heritage and culture. And it's terribly important that CatStrand plays its part in that. And then the CatStrand Young Creatives, that's the 3rd strand of the artistic vision. Cat's whistle-stop tour, but, you know, fundamentally, young guys, 5 to 25, sparking and nurturing an interest in the arts and mentoring them. And those of you who recognise Meg Oliver will know that she's been coming to the CatStrand since she was 3. And there are much older people than that who have been coming to the CatStrand since they were 3. So it's just gorgeous. This is also a Galloway tree. This is my community action plan slide. So playing fast and loose with the format. The Community Action Plan, I think some of you do know, but it was published in 2020, and it's got the 4 themes of a connected community, an asset-rich community, an economically flourishing community, and a carbon-neutral community. And then last summer, we added a vision for land use as an addendum, because that land use wasn't such an issue in 2020, but it is now, it's fair to say. So a connected community is all about a lot of what we've talked about here, these connections. Asset rich is how we support what we've got in the area. Economically flourishing skills, and carbon neutral is about energy and net zero. So now I've just given in, I've returned to type. I had 4 minutes of images. So we're out, we've got the infographics out. I hacked the system. That was supposed to be those, anyway. It was supposed to be 3 back to back to give me a minute. So we've talked such a lot about the artistic side, but I am going to be a bit cheeky and just talk for 40 seconds on community action plan delivery. Sorry, Hayley, could you go back? Yeah. So this is just our strategy in a nutshell, the refresh of the strategy. So you've got Glenkens Community Arts Trust. We do arts through the 3 strands of our artistic vision, and we do community through championing delivery of the community action plan. And the way that we do that, the smallest circle in the middle, the direct delivery of some of our projects, some of which you've heard of tonight. Can't do it all ourselves, don't want to do it ourselves, would be a bad thing if we did it all ourselves. So the middle ring is about supporting local organisations, and I wish we could do more of this, but it's pretty resource constrained at the moment. But people like Propagate, doing like Ling, like Everett, Dalry Town Hall, so many people doing such fantastic work, and we are so happy to support them where we can. And then making regional and national partnerships, because some of these stuff that is in the Community Action Plan we can't do ourselves. Skills, housing, net zero, we need partners from outside. So I'm trying to position the Glenkens as a really good place to be that partner. So now if we just go back, Hayley, to so this is direct delivery of the of GCAT over the years. That is a rough timeline. And some of them are super organic and evolved. Galloway Community Transport and Glenkens Gazette started with CatStrand back in 2016. Watson Birds is one of the old school ones. Men's Shed, then the cafe, bar and shops come on. Ken Words, 7 years going. Some of them evolve very organically. Some of them have started very specifically, have been catalysed by the Community Action Plan. Things like the Glenkens Hub and the Community Spaces Network, and then together in the Glenkens and the Glenkens Youth Group. So you can see that I'm hoping that what we can keep is that mix of organic reaction to what the community needs, but with a bit more of a strategic direction by using the Community Action Plan to be really sure that what we're doing is the community's priorities. So I think that was it. I think there's one more slide, Hayley. There we go. So I was just going to, no, yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was just that one again, because for me, if CatStrand is very overwhelming. As we've seen tonight, there's just such a lot of stuff going on in the Glenkens, and it's all absolutely amazing. I would also say that of all the people you've seen here today, I think only me, Pete, Kat, and Joe are staff. I think everybody else is a volunteer. So it's just astonishing what goes on, and hats off to you all, and I hope that this maybe just tries to put it into some kind of order as to how GCAT's hopefully helping it continue.